supplies and even wood planks to build stuff with, you just fall. And that's all weird, of course, but there is one more weird thing. You actually cannot no-clip out of this sub-level. No matter how hard you try, you can't leave except one single exit, which I'll get into in a second. But the no-clipping effect just doesn't work. And that's kind of like the green mist level that I went over a couple weeks ago. That level also doesn't let you no-clip either. So let me know in the comments why you think that you can't no-clip out of these levels. What does it mean? Is the backrooms breaking? Is it learning and getting more powerful so it doesn't let people leave? Who knows? So further out in the meadow, there is a concrete shack that has an open door on it. And the shack is actually the entrance to the next sub-level. Inside of it, there's a small manhole cover in the floor with one of those manhole grate things on top that you have to open to go down. Now, you should not be going here because the next sub-level is easily one of the dangerous places in the backrooms and terribly more dangerous than this meadow area. But if for some reason you want to go, I'm going to explain it now. But around this shack, people have reported that they get weird senses of paranoia and overwhelming fear without even going in it. And when they're inside of it, they're kind of just overtaken with fear and paranoia. Unless you're insane, you shouldn't go in the shack. But if you do, you'll be sent to the next sub-level, which is classified as a class zone and is extremely dangerous, and currently no one has left. Alive, at least. Now, this sub-level 2 area is an endless labyrinth of stinky, damp, dark concrete tunnels that are dimly lit by old-looking lights. And the tunnels are pretty much unmapped completely because they're so windy and curvy, and they almost seem to change every once in a while. The halls are dotted with entities in some of those spots, and lots of them are actually unknown or undocumented entities. But of course, there are some normal ones, like skin stealers and death moths and facelings and clumps and hounds. You know, the typical kind. But if you run into any of those that I just listed, then you need to turn around and walk the other way slowly. Not like it's gonna help much, but, you know, I'm just trying to be nice here. There's also a level exclusive entity here called the Puddles. And these puddles are made out of a thick black substance that will try to attack and detain people who walk by. The liquid is sticky and it seems to be sentient in a way, and it seems to be some kind of super creature that literally lives just to eat people. It's kind of like what the symbiotes look like from Venom, that kind of material. But yeah, it literally just attacks anything it sees, even other entities. But of course, there are other hazards in these concrete halls, like partygoers and smilers, but typically these are only found deep into the halls in the glitchy warping areas, which eventually the halls themselves will just start to decay and get glitchy and warp and almost like an error message when you get too far into them. Now, it's actually thought that if you do walk far enough into them, there will eventually be no entities or puddles or any dangers, actually. And this comes from a user named IamStoppable, who posted this image to Meg authorities on August 8th, 2022. That user claims that the picture they took is a safe spot that people are currently living in. And the user has said that since they've got there, the smell in this area has gotten worse and more sour, and that the grass seems to be decaying, and even the concrete walls around them are broken and decaying, and are starting to show bricks instead of concrete, which might mean that the bricks on the other side of the concrete is how you get to the next sub-level. But we don't know for sure. As of right now, there's just two that we know of, the metal and the concrete tunnels. No one knows why the tunnels are decayed in the meadow area, and the next is a terrifying concrete maze of hallways full of entities and decay and sentient black sludge that wants to eat you. But yeah, that was Backrooms level 1069. Hope you enjoyed it. Backrooms level 9999 is classified as a class pending, which means that its safety is undetermined, and there is also an unknown entity count. Pretty much, no one is really sure if this level is safe or not. Now, the level itself looks like an abandoned amusement park that's covered in a thick fog, almost always. The park is on some sort of island, and around this island is an ocean. And the ocean is very, very deep, like extremely deep. And the water is actually salt water, like real-life oceans. Right off the bat, it is not recommended to go into the water because nothing is known about it. No one knows if there's any entities in there, or if they're just unalive if you go into it. Who knows? Now, the amusement park itself is pretty normal compared to real life ones. There are a ton of rides like roller coasters and merry-go-rounds and all the typical stuff that you've seen in real life. There's also a lot of Ferris wheels. Now, all of what I just told you is pretty normal, right? You know, it's pretty accurate to how our life is as well. Except on this level, the roller coasters are very weird. They have very strange and anomalous effects that can either be extremely good or extremely bad for you. And I'm going to explain what that means now. Each coaster is an exit from this level, but it's not as easy as just hopping on one and being sent out. Instead, the leading theory is that the level itself will choose if you can leave based off of your karma. That's right, your karma. Pretty much the level somehow figures out how good or bad of a person you are based off of your entire life. And it goes off of however good or bad it thinks you are in order to choose which level it sends you to. So when you get to a roller coaster, the level will just choose how good or bad you are as a person, and then based on how it chooses, it'll either send you to a nice level or a dangerous level. And on top of this, whatever it chooses, the ride will then turn to be either dangerous, foggy, or clear. If the roller coaster turns dark and gloomy, like you're seeing now, then the level apparently thinks that you're not a good person based off of your life's deeds. The sky will turn dark and then red, and then the ocean around the level will go from water to liquid pain. Once this is all happening, you'll be sent to a scary or terrifying level in some way, like level exclamation mark, or the void, or something like that. If the roller coaster does not change, and it stays at its normal fogginess, then the level thinks you're a neutral person, and that you're not that bad, but you're also not that good. People on the neutral roller coasters are probably sent to one of the first 5 levels, but it's unknown because we can't tell. Now, if the level's fog goes away and a bunch of lights come on, then the level has decided that you have good karma and are a good person. When the level's in this state, it looks like a normal carnival from real life, and the fog that's normally on this level is gone. It's also thought that you'll be sent to a pretty safe level, like level 6,999 or level 11, if it chooses that you're a good person. Of course, these are all just guesses based on how we think the level reacts to people. Could be something else entirely, though. Who knows? I mean, this is the backrooms. We have no idea. But if none of that makes sense, I'm going to explain it in the simplest way possible. You can get on a random roller coaster on this level, and then that roller coaster, or the level itself, will choose if you are a good person or not. And whatever roller coaster you're on will then transform into either a dark and gloomy one, a normal foggy one, or it will clear up and it'll be lit up and nice. And based off of what the level chooses, you'll be sent to either a dangerous, mildly dangerous, or safe level. The only entity here on this level is facelings, and if you don't know what they are, they're just semi-sentient humanoid beings with a blank face. And on this level, they've been seen walking around the rides and riding them, except there's never been any scene on the roller coasters. Only people have been there. Weird. There are no colonies or outposts here, and to enter the level, you have to be sent here randomly from the previous level, level 9998. Now, it's really rare to be sent here, but
I'm going to try some of this pie. Are you going to try some pie? I did get a little bit of ravage in my pie.
It's really rare to be sitting here, but you can just be walking along the previous level and just fall through the floor and wake up here. So that's cool. To exit, you have to do what I said and ride a roller coaster, and then it will decide which level it sends you to, based off of if it thinks you're good or bad. And no one knows how this level can judge a person's life, because that would mean that it would have to have had access to that person before the backrooms, or somehow the level has downloaded data about each person that comes here, or something like that. We don't know. There's been no higher power found that's controlling the level, as far as we can tell, and it seems to be that this area as a whole is alive, and the entire level is an entity, and it acts as sort of a moral compass. The better person you are in its eyes, the better level you get sent to, and the worse person you are, the worse level you get sent to. So Backrooms level you win is classified as a class habitable difficulty, and is safe and devoid of any entities. Harmful entities, that is. And that is pretty much the opposite of level you cheated, that I went over a few weeks back. Which blew up, by the way, so thank you for that. This level is actually pretty weird because of how it looks and behaves and some other things, but overall, it's safe. The entire level takes place in a building that has 11 stories. The building is apparently out in the middle of nowhere, in a field. because you can look out the windows and just see a big empty field. When you actually get to the level, you'll start in an office lounge type place. And this is the 11th floor, or the highest floor of the building. When you finally realize where you are, you'll immediately lose all your stress, and you'll feel relieved instantly. It's kind of like your body knows that you won the game of the backrooms. The rest of this 11th story is pretty normal for an office building. It's pretty liminal and pretty empty looking, but it gets a little weirder the further you go down to the stories below you. And in these levels that are below you, there's almond water randomly placed on tables and that kind of thing, and there's also facelings wandering around, but each level is different. For instance, the 10th floor is some kind of supermarket that's similar to a Walmart or a Safeway Vons or that kind of thing from real life. And there are facelings actually shopping around for things and working the cash registers here. And on the shelves, there is literal merchandise to buy. Like there's fresh food and fruits and vegetables and even seafood you can buy. And of course, none of that makes any sense because why would there be a fully functioning supermarket in the backrooms? But who cares? You just won. Now the 9th floor is full of weird looking restaurants also run by facelings. And these places are just named basic things like food. You know, they're also very liminal looking and they're mostly empty unless you run into another wanderer there or the facelings that work in the store. Now the 8th floor has a ton of bedroom type places in it. The bedrooms are small and plain looking, kind of like just ones you'd see in a house, like a spare bedroom. And there's also a balcony at the end of this floor that juts out from the building. If you jump off this balcony for some reason, then you'll just no-clip back up into the bedroom floor, or the 8th floor that you were on. Or, it's thought that sometimes you can no-clip into your bed in reality. Like you can just jump off the balcony and you'll end up back home. That's not confirmed or anything, but it's strongly thought that that's how it works, since the balcony is only on the floor with beds. So it would make sense if you jumped off the bed floor and ended up in reality in your own bed, wouldn't it? Now the 7th floor is kind of like an old computer lab. The computers here are pretty normal. There's old and new ones, and it looks like a big school computer lab kind of. The computers can be turned on and off, but you can't break them. Even if you smash the screen, it'll just repair itself. There's also internet here that you can connect to, apparently. The 6th floor is a really dark room with chairs where people just go to relax and chill after, being in the back rooms for days or years. The floor is completely empty. There are a few random pillars holding the ceiling up, but there are just random seats around as well. The 5th floor is kind of like a dining area where there's tables. It kind of looks like a cafeteria here, and there can sometimes be entities as well. There's big long tables with seating and stuff like that, and you can occasionally run into another wanderer or two here, just chilling and eating food. The 4th floor is kind of like a nightclub or a dance club. Nothing crazy, just random music and colorful lights and that kind of deal. And the music played here is very strange and unknown. The 3rd floor is kind of like a movie theater that plays real-life movies that you've probably seen before. And even movies that haven't been created yet. Like somehow this place can play unreleased movies, which might mean that this level takes place in the future. What do you think? The 2nd floor is kind of like a regular shop with supplies and that sort of thing. A little bit of food, not as much food as the 10th story supermarket, but it's just a tiny shop. Nothing too special. And the 1st floor, which is probably the most special floor, is at the very bottom of this building. It kind of looks like a hotel lobby in a way, and it's a place to relax and to chill and meet other wanderers as well. It's kind of a hangout zone, if there are other people here at the time you're there. And apparently, people come here to tell stories and commemorate and just talk about the things they've experienced in their journey throughout the backrooms. It just looks like a huge liminal hotel lobby with nothing else really, just kind of empty, but there are seats there. And there is an important doorway in the middle of this hotel lobby that leads outside the building, which I'll get into in the exits portion. But now it's time for the entrance sections, where you'll finally figure out how to get to this level and win the backrooms. Now most of these entrances involve winning some kind of game in the backrooms. Like if you win the Beasts game on level 4293, you have an opportunity to be sent here. Or if you win an arcade game on level 399 in it. Each story is different, and you can only get to this level by winning the backrooms. And then once you get here, well, you might be able to leave, we think. Could just be another fake exit, who knows. So this level is classified as a class variable difficulty, which means that its safety and stableness changes depending on where you go inside the level. Now, according to the fandom, this level is actually a sub-level of the original level Run for Your Life, which I've done a video on if you are interested in that. And if you haven't heard of that, it's a terribly scary level in and of itself where you spawn in and you have to run instantly away from a huge horde of entities. And at first glance, the first part of this sub-level looks like the normal level. It's a long hallway that's basked in a red lighting, and this entire part is pretty similar to the main level in that there's an entity horde chasing you and your sanity is dropping. But where it changes is that every so often there are doors on the left or right side of the hallway that can open up to different levels, but the levels that they open up to are typically dangerous levels, not safe levels, so they're dangerous. And some of them even lead back to the main part, which is level exclamation mark. So unless you want to go back to the main level and do this entire running thing again, it's not recommended to try any of these exits. So I'm sure you're asking yourself, what does this sub-level do that sets it apart from the main level? Well, the main thing is there are extra steps and extra dangerous things that can happen to you here. There are random liquid pain puddles that you can step in, and there are some carpeted sections of the hallways that have poisonous carpet fluid inside of them. And if you lose your shoes or you walk through these areas with your bare feet or socks on, that might be it for you. Because if your feet touch liquid pain or this carpet fluid, then the pain will be worse than unaliving itself. So that just adds on to the difficulty on top of the entity horde chasing you. There is one pretty cool thing about this level though, and it's that if you run for a really, really long time, like 10 plus miles on this level, then you might find a staircase that goes up, and if you go up that staircase, you might get to the Promised Land, which is a thought to be exit of the backrooms itself, but it's not confirmed if it is. Some people are really thinking that it is, and I've done a video explaining all of that, so go check that out if you haven't. But if you find this staircase, I would recommend 10 out of 10 going to that staircase just to find the exit. It's worth it to me to try. As you know, the main level exclamation mark isn't too long, only a few miles, but this sub-level is way longer and more confusing to run through. The good news is that there's these anomalous blue hallways scattered randomly throughout the level that can be randomly accessed to people. Now these don't appear to everybody, and it's
cool. What is that? Here. Well, I will see you in the morning. Now, if you don't mind, get out of